Welcome to what is happening in today with crowning thoughts. Santiago, DC, Maria, truth speaker.
If Donald Trump had committed even a fraction of the serious crimes he's been accused of, or in the one case where he was actually convicted, in many other countries around the world, he wouldn't be walking free, let alone holding high office. He'd be facing severe, unforgiving punishment, and that's no exaggeration in the United States. Trump was convicted on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in the New York hush money case tied to payments meant to silence Stormy Daniels. A jury found him guilty in 2024, yet he received an unconditional discharge in early 2025, no prison time, no fines, no probation. The other major cases, federal classified documents, election interference in Georgia and D.C., were dismissed or dropped after his re-election and return to power. The system bent over backward, and he emerged untouched. Contrast that with harsher realities elsewhere. Nations like China, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Thailand impose the death penalty for high-level corruption, embezzlement, or bribery that damages the state or economy, crimes often involving theft of public funds or abuse of power. Former leaders in places like Peru, Alberto Fujimori, got over 30 years, or Ukraine, fugitive sentences for treason and corruption, have faced long prison terms or worse when evidence stuck. Even for child abuse or sexual misconduct tied to positions of power, many countries deliver swift, heavy justice without the endless appeals and political shielding we see here. America's system allows wealth, influence, and loyal institutions to shield powerful figures from real accountability. In other places, societies refuse to prostitute their justice to protect child abusers, corrupt thieves, or power-hungry manipulators. They demand consequences that actually deter. Here, the elite often skate, proving the rules apply differently depending on who you are. That's not justice. It's a rigged game that erodes trust in the entire system. We deserve better. Equal enforcement under the law, no exceptions for the connected. Until then, the double standard stands exposed. The latest glaring example hit this week. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, a young, fiercely loyal spokesperson, went out on a limb to defend Trump's wild push to nationalize elections, essentially federalizing ballot counting in key states, a plan critics call unconstitutional and a direct threat to democratic norms. She tried to soften his podcast rant with Dan Bongino, walking back the extremism to make it sound less like a power grab. What did Trump do? He immediately doubled down in public, contradicting her cleanup effort and leaving her exposed as the one who couldn't sell his unfiltered truth. Reports describe it bluntly. He blew up her defense, making her look incompetent or out of step while he stayed untouchable. This pattern repeats endlessly. We've seen it with Kristi Noem, DHS Secretary. After controversial ICE actions in Minnesota led to fallout, she got scapegoated in briefings and filings as the administration distanced itself. Tulsi Gabbard as DNI. Trump claimed ignorance about her presence at an FBI raid on a Georgia election site, casually implying she was tied to foreign governments and cheating, dumping her like yesterday's news. Even allies abroad, like Venezuela's opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, got discarded when it suited his narrative. Why does this matter? Because it exposes the core truth. Trump's inner circle exists only as long as they're useful shields. When scrutiny mounts legal, political, or media, he sacrifices them without hesitation to protect himself. Loyalty is one way, no gratitude, no reciprocity. It's ruthless self-preservation dressed as leadership. This isn't strength, it's cowardice wrapped in bravado. Real leaders stand by their people. Trump, he drives the bus himself and hits the gas. Wake up to it. History shows these patterns don't end well for anyone riding shotgun. Let's face it head on. J.D. Vance is scrambling, and for good reason. Newly released Epstein emails have dragged him, and his billionaire mentor Peter Thiel right into the heart of a sprawling, shadowy network that reeks of elite corruption and unchecked power. These aren't wild conspiracy theories. They're straight from the U.S. Department of Justice's massive document dump on January 31, 2026, which includes over 3 million pages exposing Epstein's enduring ties to the global elite, long after his 2008 conviction for sex crimes. Peter Thiel, the PayPal co-founder and Palantir boss who bankrolled Vance's political rise with a $15 million donation to his 2022 Senate campaign, exchanged emails with Epstein for years. From 2014 to 2019, they discussed lunches, visits to Epstein's Caribbean island, infamously dubbed Pedophile Island, and even strategic chit-chat about politics and investments. One chilling exchange from June 2016 has Epstein and Thiel musing about collapsing society to spark investment opportunities, straight-up dystopian scheming that aligns with Thiel's known doomsday prepper vibes and his push for radical societal resets. Thiel's responses: casual smiley faces and invitations to meet. No denials of wrongdoing from Thiel, but the optics are damning. A tech oligarch cozying up to a convicted predator while funding Vance, who's now Trump's VP. Vance himself hyped releasing the Epstein files during his campaign, calling for transparency. Yet now, with these connections surfacing, his silence speaks volumes. This isn't guilt by association, it's a web of influence that demands answers. How deep does it go? Vance owes the public an explanation, not panic. And then there's Pam Bondi, Trump's attorney general, who's complicit in shielding the monsters. She's overseen the Epstein file releases, but they've been riddled with heavy redactions that black out names of powerful rapists and enablers while accidentally exposing victims' details in some cases. Survivors are furious, and rightfully so. The DOJ claims redactions protect victims, but critics like lawmakers Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie blast it as a cover-up for the elite. Bondi delayed releases, citing victim privacy, yet the mishandling has left accusers vulnerable while letting potential criminals hide. These aren't victims she's protecting. They're predators, rich men accused of rape and trafficking, including allegations tied to Epstein's orbit. Sorry, but calling rapists victims to justify secrecy is bullshit. This administration's handling screams obstruction. They should face life sentences for redacting truth and enabling evil. Imagine what that mindset does behind closed doors to their own families, kids, nieces, nephews. It's horrifying, but we can't look away. Demand full, unredacted transparency now. Anything less erodes justice and lets the guilty walk free. We've got the facts, time to act on them. Let's confront this nightmare head-on. The latest Epstein files unleash a victim's raw diary that doesn't just name billionaires in grotesque acts of abuse. It exposes a twisted world of stolen babies, forced impregnation, and elite predators treating young girls like disposable vessels. This isn't sensationalism, it's documented horror from the U.S. Department of Justice's January 2026 release of over 3 million pages, including diaries, emails, and videos that strip away the veneer of power and reveal the rot beneath. At the center is an unnamed woman, just 16 or 17 in 2002, whose diary chronicles her ordeal as Epstein's human incubator. She details being groomed and impregnated by the convicted pedophile, who rambled about his superior gene pool and her eye color as reasons to breed perfect offspring. An included pregnancy scan at 20 weeks gestation confirms the timeline. She gave birth to a baby girl, heard her cries, glimpsed her tiny body, only for the child to be ripped away 10 minutes later, allegedly under Ghislaine Maxwell's watch, who callously called the infant beautiful. Where is she? The victim pleads in her entries. This wasn't a one-off. Files hint at Epstein fathering multiple secret children, with a video of a DNA paternity test on his table and his confessed scheme to impregnate women at his New Mexico ranch, to seed humanity with his DNA. Even Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, emailed Epstein in 2011 congratulating him on a baby boy, later accusing him of exploiting her ties to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. But the diary doesn't stop at Epstein. It names billionaire Leon Black, the former Apollo Global Management CEO and MoMA trustee, in chilling, coded entries. Deciphered messages describe Black biting her genitals during a violent rape at Epstein's Manhattan home, throwing her to the floor and causing blood to stain the carpet, all while she was a minor with autism and Down syndrome, developmentally equivalent to a 12-year-old. She pasted Sylvia Plath's poem, Stopped Dead, into the diary, annotating it with Black's name and underlining lines about a fatso millionaire, violent birth, and a bloody baby screaming. This aligns with her ongoing 2023 lawsuit against Black, where she alleges he paid her $5,000 hush money after the assault. Black denies everything, calling it false, but the diary's details, corroborated by emails and a confidential for attorney's eyes only. Translation: paint a damning picture of complicity among the ultra-wealthy. Why does this matter? Because it proves the system failed these victims spectacularly. The DOJ botched redactions, exposing 43 survivors' names, including minors, while shielding predators. Epstein's network wasn't just parties, it was a machine for exploitation, stealing innocence and even lives from the vulnerable. We've got the evidence now: diaries, scans, emails demanding full accountability. No more shadows for these billionaires. Drag them into the light. Justice isn't optional, it's owed. Society can't heal until we dismantle this elite impunity. You're sitting at home, staring at the screen, questioning everything, and you're right to. America has spent decades preaching from the highest moral pulpit, lecturing other nations about how they treat women, how corrupt their leaders are, how they exploit children. We've justified wars, sanctions, regime changes, all in the name of human rights and protecting the vulnerable. Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, the rhetoric was always the same. We must intervene because those governments abuse women, enable corruption, traffic kids. Yet here we are, watching our own system shield the powerful while victims suffer in silence. Look at the facts. The U.S. State Department routinely issues blistering annual human rights reports condemning foreign governments for gender-based violence, official corruption, and child sexual exploitation. We've used those reports to withhold aid, impose penalties, even launch military actions. But domestically, when elite predators like Jeffrey Epstein built networks that preyed on underage girls, with ties reaching into politics, business, and royalty, our justice system drags its feet, redacts names, and lets the guilty skate. The 2026 Epstein file releases, millions of pages under the Transparency Act, exposed diaries of forced pregnancies, stolen babies, and billionaire rapists. Yet Attorney General Pam Bondi oversaw heavy redactions that protected the accused while clumsily exposing some survivors. Democrats and watchdogs called it a cover-up. The administration claimed victim privacy, but the pattern screams selective blindness. This is textbook hypocrisy. We condemn child exploitation abroad to rally support for intervention, then turn a blind eye when it happens here among the connected. Laws look the other way because the criminals wear suits, donate millions, and hold power. American leaders aren't just failing, they're complicit. The system that weaponizes concern for foreign women and children against rivals refuses to apply the same standard at home. It's not oversight, it's deliberate protection of the elite class. Wake up to it. This double standard erodes trust, fuels division, and proves the land of the free lectures ring hollow when the powerful prey without consequence. We deserve accountability everywhere, starting right here. Demand it. No more excuses. Stay safe. God bless. I love you all. Crowning Thoughts, True Speaker, copyright 2025 by Santiago D.C. Maria, licensed under Creative Commons Attribution.